biological changes or
Okay.
biologicals that are changing the pesticide industry?
Okay, so here's the way to think about this. For so long, we have always talked about the crop protection industry, and a lot of those chemistries are synthetic, right? They are produced in chemical plants. Some of them have actually been grown. They are naturally occurring and they are labeled organic. There's really a variety of ways in which you're using crop protection products. And by that, I mean seed treatments, herbicide, herbicides, insecticides, etc. Now, we are seeing an increase in the amount of biologicals. These are naturally occurring products that we can use as seed treatments, also as control for insects, where we've talked before about like pheromones and so forth. Also, nitrogen enhancement products, if you will, where they're able to improve the amount of nitrogen we can take from the air to supplement what we are already feeding a corn plant. These biologicals are expected by next year to hit the $12 billion mark as an industry. Yeah, that's a lot of change. A lot of new
That's a
products are
lot of
coming online.
bulls.
That's that's a lot more bulls. And folks are doing their homework with them. They're figuring out what works, what doesn't. In fact, I know that some of the North Dakota State researchers have been spending time, as well as University of Minnesota, talking to farmer education groups this winter, what they've learned in the past and what products they're going to be testing for the 23 growing season and moving forward. So as we have seen more green energy ideas come online in farming, we're going to continue to see that in the pesticide realm as well as more biological products come available as well.
I see. And there's been a push to go from more green and just about everything. And is this becoming a more and more demanded thing, or uh, I'm trying to think of how I want to word
Um,
this, but is that the way that it's going?
so
Is we're trying to move away from synthetic to more biological?
I think there's a couple of reasons for that. As a whole, everyone is looking for new alternatives. And when you have been using a product for a certain amount of time, you start to see that you want to find, what's the newest, latest, and greatest thing. So folks are looking for that by all means. Additionally, I think it's important that we have started to see more of that green environmental movement happening. And I use green, maybe that's not quite the right term, but we just see more and more folks who want to use different modes of action. And if you can find a naturally occurring one, that's even better. So I think there's probably not just a consumer focus on it, but also from the farmer focus.
I see. And we had talked about this before with the biologicals and pesticides with interfering with the pheromones so they don't reproduce, for an example that
Right.
we've talked about before. And you had also mentioned that in the past that this has been kind of a more expensive thing to do with this biological pesticides and just the biologicals in general. If this is expected to reach up towards $12 billion dollars and there's a more and bigger demand and push for production, is this going to bring the price down, make it more available, and at some point maybe be cheaper than your synthetic pesticides? Or I don't know if that's the correct term for it.
I think using synthetic pesticides is a good term, and they'll probably be on par with each other before too long. I think that the
Hmm.
discovery process as well as the production process have started to get cheaper and more readily available as folks are willing to invest money into them to bring them to market. So I do think we'll see some of the initial costs come down and they'll become more mainstream. We've started to see it in seed treatments, and I think we'll continue to see it in insecticides, fungicides, and as well as wherever we can in weed control. But weed control, technically, you could call cultivation or weed zappers or flamethrowers biological, right?
Hmm.
Because you're
Yeah.
using something from nature at that point, too.